1, 2, 3.
Are you a corrupt politician? Or am I being redundant?
Well, she sneaks around the world from Maryland to Carolina. She's a sticky-fingered pilcher crumbling down to Belize. Take you for a ride on the boat to China. Tell me where in the world is there's only South Korea, baby, not in Korea. Come from the Red Sea to Greenland, we'll be singing the blues. We'll be never Arkansas, still the beat come from a jungle. Tell me where in the world is we go from Nashville to Norway, but air to Zimbabwe, Chicago to Czechoslovakia and back. Well, she'll ransack Pakistan and Afghanistan and Scandinavia, then just stick 'em up down under and go big pocket bourbon. Missing misdemeanor when she's stole the base from Levi. Tell me where in the world is tell me where in the world. Come on, tell me where can she be? Botswana to Thailand, Milan via Amsterdam, Bali to Bali, Ohio. Oh, whoa. Ooh, the cheese. Ooh, the cheese.
Hi, it's Nick Taves, and
Casey Khoury.
we're back by unpopular demand. We just had you listen to literally over 3 hours of stories involving discrimination that mostly I experienced, but Casey also lived through at Burlington College under the regime of Lynch and Mira Sanders. And that is not to be confused with Jean. It is Jane. So, that said, first off, this is going to be a deleted scenes thing where we told kind of the story in like a, I don't want to say director's cut, because if it were me, I'd have all the stories in there, but in a quasi-user-friendly version of the stories that would tell kind of a flavor for the general overall atmosphere through interactions with people and whatnot. Would you agree with that so far?
Yes.
Okay. And good, jump right in. So this time we'll get that fun, because the other ones were kind of the more serious stories, but some of it's going to be kind of serious, some of it's going to be kind of joking, and we'll see if this is a short one based on that, but basically...
And if it sparks anything in you.
it definitely will.
Anyone there listening, because rest assured Burlington College isn't the only place anything like this has happened. Kind.
It happens all over the freaking place.
And for those of you probably remember 2008 at UConn Bridgeport, that situation there, that young lady.
Oh yeah, or those cases in California and all, but I've got clippings upon clippings, but and both came out of the woodwork too, and we did that movie, jeez, I can't remember my movie, Losing Control, that's what it was. One beer and I'm already in trouble.
Those cases, definitely the UConn Bridgeport, that was one case where, we got to hold our leaders to be accountable for what they say.
Oh, absolutely, and that's what I believe we're doing with these podcasts. We're giving credit where credit's due, and we're letting people hold responsible for violating people, responsible for their actions. The one thing I hasten to point out, though, is somebody pointed out to me, well, I don't know, is there really moving violations? I said, well, it's just a catchy title. It's not supposed to be literal. Okay, accurate moving violation. It's just supposed to be a title, because also in essence we're saying that these were things that had profound impact on us. They have shaped us to where we are now. Jobless and whatnot. So that case better, but it's just, don't try to take this stuff literally. Look for kind of what could be implied here, but also pay attention to what we say. Don't get me wrong, because what we do say is very upfront. But that said, I'm taking up way too much time introducing our stories here. So, I suggest we get right to it.
And how?
Is that a funny sorry, I couldn't resist.
You want to see our Taves?
Yes. Sorry, I really could not resist that one. It just set me up so perfectly. Yes, one of the podcasts that we've already done, we talked about somebody by the name of Mary Arbuckle. And it dawned on me that it's okay to make a little noise, because it's just rearranging the seat, and we have a bird in the room with us, so if anybody has any loud squawks or screeches, that's the bird, not us. And it's black-headed Malik. Barney's getting more questions about that. Thank you very much. No, I'm serious. I get questions like that all the time. What kind of name was the thing? So there's a gentleman, I use the term advisedly, that we had a class with around the point that we were in Mary Arbuckle's class, or I was in Mary Arbuckle's class, I guess, to be more accurate. And you may remember this gentleman's name, Kevin McCarthy. I say it that way because he was an English gentleman, raised in France, or was educated there, and he used to dress in tight shirts and jeans, and he always had dark glasses on, always had the biker jacket on, and always walked in with coffee in hand. And if he didn't have coffee, he had shortly afterwards. Yeah, it was one of those kind of things. He would leave to go get coffee. And he would also not attend class because he wanted to go to a concert of some kind. Or so he said. God only knows what he did, but I'm sure that's all I wanted to know what he did. But, he was a character, and he violated my civil rights. I don't know about yours. I think he may have. But in my case, he was saying stuff like, oh yeah, sure, you can get a censure on our paper, sure. But you have an Australian accent at the same time as he would have an English accent, and you never quite knew where he was from. He could have been from Australia for all we know. But he used to, say, you can get an extension on that paper. And he would go and not give the extension. And various other little things like that. I can remember one time, this is just me jumping in, I'll turn it over to you and say stuff. I remember one time this dude went and he gave us a assignment to write about a movie its subtle significance, and I chose Chinatown, because I was enamored with Chinatown at that point. I almost said Chinatown. Whoops. Chinatown. The 1974 Roman Polanski classic. That's getting Blu-ray release this year. Yes! I'm excited. So, we were at this paper, and I said to him, what exactly are you looking for? Because he said, you got to use vocabulary words from the textbook. And there were things like diegetic sound, non-diegetic sound, and different kind of lighting. We had to explain the kind of light use and the different uses of sound, you remember? And so I was like, he goes, well, one of the subtle things about Chinatown is that it's really about water. And so the two jakes would be about oil. And I was like, what's the two jakes? That's always trouble when you know more than your pictures. But I was like, it's the sequel to Chinatown, made like almost 20 years later. But he was like, I guess I don't be about oil when I told him about the story. But he just had a very odd demeanor. But anyway, he gave us an assignment, and he failed me on paper. But I had done everything he asked me to do, and he said, look, I have a learning disability. If you're looking for something different than what you have told me, which I wrote down, and you can read it if you like, you need to tell me so I can go back and do this thing to your specifications, and I need you to stick to it, because it's kind of unfair for you to keep changing, because he kept changing it again and again and again, like 3 or 4 times. Boy, I went through it. Go figure. But finally, get to it, and I showed it to him, and he goes, okay, I'll pass you. But it was like a C- on the paper, so it's like just barely passed. But it was still no fault of my own. I did everything that was specified. And I saw your paper, which got an A, and it was 2 sentences. On a big white sheet of paper, so I'm kind of curious. Let's talk about Kevin McCarthy. What do you remember about him? Long introduction, I swear to God.
Well, let's see. Kevin McCarthy. Yeah, that was quite interesting. I mean, there's, like what he said about the, sound and stuff like that. The different things he had us watch. Then there was that one time.
At band camp.
No, but
that one just got up on a nice resume.
No, but I don't think he had a written structure too well, because there's one time where
no, not at all.
He, instead of talking for a short period of time and then breaking, so that he would have everybody be able to fit the movie in, rather than some of us have to come back later and catch it.
Yeah, because there was another thing where, like, midway through the class, some people had to leave to catch.
There was this. What I remember was it was The Deer Hunter, and
the epic 4-hour class that we
I had
ran.
to leave to go to another class. I had to leave to go to nonlinear editing or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was nonlinear editing, because we were in there, and we started class at 4 in the afternoon or something, and it ran until like 11 o'clock at night or something strange like that. I was like, wait there, why are you staying here until like 11 o'clock at night? And he did this like epic long talk all the way up to the deer hunter. Then we got like part of the way to the deer hunter, and I think it was like a couple of months before the end of the first tape. It was time for half the class, or more than half the class, to leave, if I'm remembering that story correctly. Yeah. Okay. Just checking to make sure I had that right. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, these extra long things. Goes way over time.
Yeah.
And Brenda's pounding on the door. When are you going to be done?
We got other classes that these kids need to be in.
Yeah.
I get burned up in the receptionist.
A lot of scheduling conflicts with that school anyhow. But anyway.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
But anyhow, back to the McCarthy.
Yes, back to McCarthy. So that was cinema studies.
Yeah, and one of the sound, or what's their, so there's different ones, that we watched. I just watched for different reasons. There was that,
there's one,
that crazy, there was one that was, crazy, it was at a dance school. I think it was for some sound purpose.
Yeah, I think he excerpted it for sound, and it was one of the days I wasn't there.
Suspiria.
Yeah, I wasn't there for that day for some strange reason.
Yeah.
But I remember him saying that he showed up, like, shit. Guess I wanted to see it, that's why.
No, it's a good film.
I just stopped to try to catch it. There was one that he showed, I can't remember the title of it for the life of me, maybe you'll remember. But it was that one where the kid committed suicide. And it was like this kid that was like, he wanted to get a sex change, but he was confused about his gender identity or something, so like, he was dressing up in women's clothes and beating up at school, so he set up a video camera that his parents gave him for something, and I just started recording this stuff, and the whole movie is just this documentary taken from like the tapes that he left behind, documenting his descent into madness and eventually committing suicide.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you remember the title of that by any chance? Because I keep trying to figure it out.
I don't remember the title of that, no.
I just remember that wigged me the fuck out, and it was a what? I forget, but it was like, he showed us like 30 or 40 minutes of it upon our request, because we're like, wait a minute, that's too strange to stop after 5 minutes, keep going. Well, I mean, he was literally going to show us 5 minutes, and it was like, Dad, no, you're not just showing us 5 minutes, show us more. So freaking weird. It still spooks me to this day thinking about it. But we apparently were glutton for punishment. I remember that because we signed up for another couple of classes with them. Intro to screenwriting, and then writing the feature part 1. Remember that? Mm-hmm. And then we were supposed to be writing the feature part 2, but I bowed out of that when he wasn't going to be teaching. And I forget who wound up teaching that, but I want to say it was Alan Nichols. I want to say it was Alan Nichols because he said something kooky in the class that I think you told me. And there was something about like, part of me's on strike right now because I was doing the writer's strike. That odd year of the writer's strike when like House suffered horribly, and because they could only get like 13 episodes and it wasn't as good as it normally is because they were all over the place and they had erratic storylines and stuff, which is weird. Beyond belief.
Yeah, that doesn't work unless unless of course the concept,
It takes time, yes.
unless the concept is, just erratic,
Yeah, and usually it's very structured, sure, but just down the toilets for that season. But I mean, not that it was bad, but it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
But, so...
Oh yeah, so then there's that, of course, and, then,
now let's start with Right in the Future 1. What do you remember of that?
what I remember from that was, well,
I mean, I'll tell you, I got vivid memories.
Ryan working on the screenplay, having,
Powwows.
what? Powwows, yeah, like table discussions, about different people's ones, and of course, then I also remember, he would have certain films that we watched, and at certain points he would pause it for briefly and see
Dissect it,
see who was able to catch what the incident was, and continue going.
Yeah, you remember he observed the monsters ball during that class, and then in Right in the Future 1 he has watched the entire movie. Science the end.
Yeah. Of course, there's a film that I need to replace because of him.
Watch Monsters Ball?
No.
Which one was it?
The Squid and the Whale.
Oh, yes. I love him for that.
Yeah.
But get the Blu-ray.
He borrowed it from me and then... I'll get the Blu-ray. But anyhow, he borrowed it from me and then, I never get it back, so...
That was mighty nice of him. Troublemaker.
So that was another one that was dissected.
Yeah, well, I remember him screening that one in both the classes, Right in the Future 1 and Intro to Screenwriting.
There's one that was like a sand... No, not a sandwich. I think the word sandwich is in there somewhere. I believe it was...
It wasn't Sandlot, I know that.
But it was like a Sand in Time, or it was something along those lines. I don't remember the exact title. And
I don't remember the sand in the title. I remember...
I believe it was sand was in the title.
House of Sand and Fog, perhaps?
Yeah, that was the one.
Yeah, he might have showed that on one of the few days there at least.
So I remember that one.
When I say I'm missing days of this stuff, I was having really bad allergy attacks to the point of I could not see, breathe, anything.
One of the two shows. One of the two shows,
yeah.
One of the classes, of all the classes I took, screenwriting or screenwriting, picture one, or studies. I don't remember which one, but he showed, what was it, Death and the Maiden.
Yeah, that would have been, not cinema studies, because I was there for the majority of the cinema studies. I only missed 5 classes, and even that, most of those were because he missed the class, and I only missed 2 or 3, because you were allowed 4, and I think I missed 3.
Oh, was it that? Oh yeah, now wasn't that the, so yeah, that was in the screenwriting, but wasn't also that, I'm trying to remember when if it was, Right in the Future, but it was in the spring. I remember there was a spring semester. Well, it started in the winter and it's in the spring. But there was that notorious spring semester where I had 2 classes on Wednesday, one in the morning and one in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
And for most of February.
The days after 20th. Yeah.
Most of February. On Wednesday, school was closed due to a snowstorm.
I remember that. That was when we had writing the future one. Because it was inevitable. His class was either canceled or delayed thanks to snow, or him not being able to be there because of snow. And one day he just failed to show, and they had to call the class, and then he showed up, and like after the class was called, it was like, well, that makes no sense as to why we're still here. And he was like, wait, where are you going? And we've got class. And it's like, they just called the class off, Kevin. And I was like, well, can some of you stay? And some of us were like, yes, we'll stay.
Yeah, and then there's always, and then of course, there was trying to figure out a makeup schedule.
Oh, it wasn't that a nightmare. Every single
everything out there, Saturdays,
Sundays, yeah. Good Lord. Hey, we're gonna do Saturday and Sunday. We'll sleep over at the school. What the hell were they, Kevin?
They haven't installed the animatronic version Brenda yet.
Oh, God, if only. If only. Oh. Much less Judy or Rosie or whoever would substitute for any of them.
And there's this whole thing. You have to have a staff member there. Okay, so Burlington College, you have to have a staff member there with students. When as a boarding school, we had a lock-in, where we stayed up all night watching movies. No staff members, just students.
How times change. I understand the mentality, but if it just doesn't work out scheduling-wise, what's the matter with letting the teacher in there to do it? Like the freaking weekend workshops, there were almost never staff members there. Because the reception staff was not counting as staff members, but they were there. Who else was there? The teachers. That was it sometimes. So they had this odd setup where they would contradict themselves. They'd be like, oh, you have to have a staff member there at all times. But then they would always have a staff member there. Kind of screwy. I can remember showing up to classes without a staff member being there. I remember that night that the deer hunter was shown. He was the only night. Everybody else is going home for the night. Barry, everybody else gone. Even James gone. So there's no staff member on campus. We're sitting around watching shit and Wendy's and they're going,
and then of course, there's always the students who, not so much of Brenda, because Brenda would, give people leeway, but with Judy, they would give her a heart attack because they came in almost like in the nick of time.
Well, that, or I can remember, and you'll remember this too, going up to the editing room on Saturdays and Sundays and editing things that we need to do for classes, for various classes, and she just was not happy about that, and she, everybody had to be out at a certain time, and if there was one straggler, that person got shit for quite some time afterwards. Because she was substitute during the week occasionally when Rose was having an off day or whatever. And she would see that person like, oh yeah, you're the one that made me miss my bus. One of those kind of things. Like, okay.
Yeah, there's that time where there's that I think either Brenda was on vacation or there was her death in the family or something. I don't remember what it was, but there was this time where Rosie started off the day, but in a shorter amount of time left. Judy came on, went to Brenda's normal time to come, and then or just a little bit after that, and then Rosie came back and locked up.
Yeah, wasn't that screwy? Or how about right before the holidays, when Rosie, remember that? I think it was one of the first couple of years I was there. They had Rosie staying like Christmas Eve and stuff. They leave the school open because they're atheists, apparently. And they don't believe in people having Christmas holidays. But they left the school open Christmas Eve. They had Rosie stay there the entire day. And what's worse, they had Rosie staying there like well into the night, and her son had to be there with her. Over the poor lad going to sleep in the desk.
Now, let's see.
Yes.
So yeah, it was just predominant. It was just let's see. So Rosie had already been there for a bit of time when you had come, right?
Yeah, because she had met me before, but she didn't remember me very well until I said, yeah, my name's Nathan. Tell her, and she's like, I think I met you one time. And I'm like, funny, I have no memory of meeting you.
Alright, so you did not experience that crazy time.
At band camp, no.
Not the crazy time at band camp, but okay, because when I first started there, it was...
Just for the record, band camp that I keep making a joke about is from American Pie. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, when I first started there, instead of Rosie in the mornings, it was Krista White. And then she had left, and then there was, a couple of different people that, they were trying out and then decided on Rosie. But also, during this time, was when this crazy construction was going on, so you couldn't go through the front door. So you had to keep it, and not only that, but it wasn't just one entrance either. And sometimes a day you were going in through the art room, other times a day you were going in through the library, and you have to keep in mind, remember what time of day it was your entrance, and when your entrance was not necessarily your exit when you came out.
Yeah, I was not there for that, fortunately. I was there for when the library moved, and that was a delight.
This was really crazy.
Did I tell you what happened at the library? They went in and I had taken out a book. And I forget the name of the book, unfortunately. But it was some book I'd taken out, and I returned it on time, but the computer was broken the day that I returned it, and I want to say it was either Mac Finley or Spencer Mooney was on duty when I returned the book. And I said, do you want to write that down? And they said, no, it's the end of the day, just, leave it there.
Yeah.
And I saw her lying there a couple of days later, just an hour or so. And I said, I just wanted to let you know, because they didn't write down the other day, but I returned this on time, and here it is. And she goes, okay, well, the computer's still down, I'll take care of it later. Okay.
Yeah, so...
later, they lost the book when they did the library move.
Yeah.
And they never found it. And the last person who checked out there was me, so they were trying to charge me like $250 for this out-of-print book that they themselves sealed up in the old library room, which was not my fault.
But so anyhow, what I was saying that they're doing construction in the front area, the front desk area, near the front desk, the entranceway area. So you couldn't go in the front door, so you had to either go in the art room door or go in the library door, depending on the time of day. If you had a night class, of course, then Brenda, would lock up those doors and have them secured. So. So I remember coming out of night class and helping her do her rounds, and then we would go out the community room because that was the only exit. And oddly enough,
sounds about right.
It was an alarm.
Which is a little alarming in and of itself.
But yeah, that was. I remember. I remember that well because I had to remember. Okay, which is the entrance. You know, it was hectic. It was crazy.
You remember when people got so screwed up from that they would continue to come in the wrong doors and the crowd burned them nuts because they would set off their alarms? Remember that? Yeah. And people would leave the other doors and press rush, like, stop it! It was funny to see. Not funny to be around when it happened, but it was funny to see in retrospect. Because all I know is...
We're talking about a school that, has now since moved into a bigger campus.
Much bigger.
We're doing work on the older section of that building. Stuff will not continue until
certain funds
sold the 3 housings and can afford to continue the work again.
Well, you have to remember also that in addition to that, they're doing a private donations request, and they sent stuff to me. I don't know if you've gotten yours yet, but I'm just putting on glasses as we talk. They sent a request, as I said before, for something in the vicinity of like $10,000 they needed to, was it 10,000 or 100,000? Anyway, it was some astronomical sum to open up something.
Yeah.
In that part of the building. And, so there's a private donation thing going on. There's the selling of the on-campus housing, which I knew was going to happen at some point, that they were going to have to sell that housing. Now I got a question for you. Where do we put the students?
Well, they're going to have to sell the housing. I think there is that thing where we kicked out the mentally ill or whatever.
Present company excluded, I hope.
They accumulate that somehow. I guess it was, all part of that whole thing. So, but if you look at the building, I've never been inside.
Mentally ill.
At it from the outside, I can't fathom that many students being able to be put in there. But that's not gonna stop Burlington College because this is what they said. They said, we're going to fit 17 or 18 students in there.
Good luck. And mind you, this is the interesting part. 17 or 18 kids out of the on-campus housing community, which used to be like 20-something. And that is, of course, on top of the fact that there's about 200 campus-based students at a given point, with the exception of one semester where it dropped down to 65. Remember that?
Yeah.
That was fun. Let's talk about that next, shall we?
But anyhow, as far as other housing, they'll just keep their eye on, Oh, that house across the street is for sale. Let's buy that.
Yeah, I gotta love it. But hey, let's jump. Cover Kevin McCarthy about as much as we can. Although there is one story, so let me tell that story, and then we'll go and jump to the next thing. Kevin McCarthy had a class where he showed the movie Crash. And this was memorable to me because you were upset about Mary Bidham's male friend, to use polite terms, and had no problem displaying it during that class. You came in, you slammed down your bag on the table, and we're seeing her trying to discern why you're so upset. And it's just an unspeakable reason, but like every time you looked at me, like you got angry or angry, it was like, what's going on here? Kind of thing. And then it got to a point but you don't have to guzzle that. You can take your time with it.
But it's the other version of Crash.
Yeah,
The one.
it wasn't the classic. It was
one I
the
hadn't seen. Oh wait.
it was the 2005 one.
There's one I had seen, and there was one I hadn't seen. I believe it was the one I hadn't seen.
Yeah, it was the 2005 one. You were thinking of the 80s one. That wasn't the 80s one.
The one I had seen was the was automobile.
Yeah, that was the
Yeah.
that was the 80s one. Yeah, no, this was the 2005, where it's more of a drama of people. But it got to one point, and I remember telling the guy to pause in the movie, and they're like, "Casey, you want to step out?" Because you were literally slamming your hand on the table and giving the finger to the screen inexplicably. When somebody was making racist and sexist remarks and quoting a woman in the movie, spoilers. And
saying this is your
right.
or whatever. Now I don't do that, but unless someone really ticks me off, like some politician or something.
Right, but I mean, like,
you do that, and I'll say this is your first, last, and middle name. Live it, love it, learn it.
right, but I mean that was just odd, because it was like inexplicable. Like there's no rhyme or reason to go being that angry about the movie, because none of us were like really irate about it, but you were the one that was like, shaking your fists and shit. So that was kind of funny. And then
do that movie because
no, I didn't suspect they did, but for some reason you decided that the movie was your enemy.
I don't have any problems, with people making certain remarks or certain
Well, no, you were having problems with racist and sexist remarks in the movie, but it was triggered by something else that happened prior to the movie.
Right. Well, I mean, as in general, I don't. I mean,
Right.
I mean, one of my favorite films, Fast Food Logic, it has that, aimed at Native Americans. So, I normally don't have any problems with it. Not that I condone it, I just don't have any problems with it.
Right. It's not like you're like, here, or anything like that. But yeah, so let's jump from that delightful little story. Yeah, nice big leap. Jump from that. We talked about housing a little bit and what's going on with that, and some of the general run-ins of the school.
They need to be fixed up first.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But let's talk about a little bit more about some of the dismissals, because we had referenced a few dismissals, and I thought it might be interesting to talk a little bit about some of the dismissals. One of which I believe was Eric Carlin, if I remember correctly. I had him for creative writing, and intro to creative writing, one of the two, but I had him the first semester I was there, and he did so well that it was just when I did well in the class. And then he stopped being there after that, and he would just show up for like one or two gigs, and then he wasn't there anymore.
Yeah, that's right. My first year there, and in the spring semester for Vision Revision, because I guess, well, the thing is, I didn't start off with Vision Revision because they deemed that my writing wasn't that great. So I started off with Coming to Terms, and Spencer started in that too, and a couple of other people with Heidi. And then I had Eric Carlin for Vision Revision. Then I had him again for research and reflection first time around.
Actually, let's jump, while we're on the subject of dismissals, back to Kevin McCarthy. He left kind of in odd circumstances too, but he was literally signed up to teach a course or two and then bowed out mysteriously. But in addition to that, there was one more story I forgot to tell. It's very quick. It was just, do you remember what happened with your screenplay in Writing the Future one?
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about that for a minute, shall we? You hear us cackling about this because it's such a strange story, but it's true.
Yeah, it is a strange story and stuff, and I mean, now that you've triggered that in my mind, I hadn't remembered that, and but now that he's triggered that in my mind, and now that I start seeing Josh, sometimes at church, now I'm going to be doing like one of these things next time I see him.
And I see you kind of thing.
I'm watching it or whatever,
Yeah, from Meet the Parents and Meet the Fockers and Little Fockers.
Yeah, and then there's like some holiday film where someone says, you gotta be careful because that's military,
Yeah. But I mean, this story, just so we can tell it, is, at least this is the way I remember it, is we were told to write a screenplay, and I'd started writing one about, a guy running for Senate who doesn't get elected, but he winds up spending time in the 1950s versus Chicago, and he winds up spending time trying to find an illegitimate son, and winds up befriending a pregnant girl. Blah blah blah. It's a remake of a movie called These Wilder Years with James Cagney, which is if you ask me, a very overlooked film. But from 1956, look it up. It's another not available on video either. But anyway, yeah, right. Well, your screenplay was.
Say that.
Yeah.
Because I do remember, I am thinking about it, and I'm thinking, and I'm looking at some stuff that I'm writing down. It's like, he probably, if he, knew me now and knew what I was writing now, probably was like, why didn't you go with that? That would have been
a lot better, yeah. And a lot more class appropriate, yeah. But I mean, this was funny because it was like, so strange it was funny, but you decided on doing a movie called Road Trip from Hell.
Yeah.
Which is an amateur title if I ever heard one, no offense. But, and I say that, like, not having a better one myself at that point, and I'm willing to admit it. You just heard me admit it, it was kind of fact.
I wanted to do, horror, and I came up with that one.
And you had a porno instead.
I created that one, but the thing is, I was wanting to do a horror. So, I had that concept in my mind, but I also had a concept in my mind, and it would be called Nature Trail to Hell, like with that Weird Al.
Yeah.
And,
And you kind of hybrid it.
And it would be, Boy Scouts essentially.
And you kind of just hybrided the two.
So it's like, do I do that one or do I do this one?
Yeah, and you decided on the horror film.
Yeah, but the other one would have been a horror film too. You could have easily said it,
Yeah, but instead you wound up with this Road Trip from Hell, and it was okay, but like you started it off in
graphic.
Well, not only just too graphic, but it was also sexually explicit. Like every couple of pages was a sex scene. If there wasn't a murder, there was a sex scene, and like barely any plot.
And this also was a time in which I, was into watching,
Porn, apparently.
Porn. I was into watching porn. I was into watching Japanese gore films.
Well, that was fun, but I mean, you also had some very interesting, like, very blunt dialogue that I don't even think people would dare speak.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Until now. But there's stuff in there where it was like, you know, you had a woman, and it was a prostitute, I guess, for all intents and purposes, according to the script. And it was a prostitute, and you have her going, I really think your luscious cock in my mouth. Well, outside of a porn film, I'm not really sure where you might hear that kind of dialogue. But apparently in this horror film, there's that kind of dialogue.
Yeah, you start off with the innocent girl.
Yeah, no, and I say that not to be crude, not to be crass, not to be insulting or demeaning to women in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, no, because I start off all innocently, Oh, you got this innocent girl and her, deranged husband and their anniversary dinner.
Well, no, that came later. The first draft was just straight up.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
The first draft was just straight up violence, and we were like, what is this? And just weird, and it made every girl in the room, two of them, shift uncomfortably in their seats. And then it was like, oh, okay. When you started adding more story, it was like, oh, okay, that makes more sense. And then there was one class, and it was after we had written quite a sensible amount.
Yeah.
And we spent the entire class dissecting your script.
Yeah, and also it was literally a road trip because,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But normally on a road trip, you'd hear about, like, stopping at a diner to eat. Or something like that. Instead,
it wasn't your usual road trip. In this case, it was pretty big content that we're on.
Right, but I mean, you go through Cincinnati, Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio, all this other stuff, and you had like porn dialogue and stuff. I was like, dude, like, not for nothing, cut down the porn dialogue and get rid of.
Things got better when I did that, because then then there's not to say that one of those where would be a moment for people that got made because
a Trump moment,
because they without because they cross paths without noticing that they crossed each other's paths in Indianapolis.
Yeah, well, I mean, we could go on for about an hour about this thing. But I was saying it merely as a point of, like, that was kind of an interesting story. But I wanted to get you to tell that story during this podcast, so I'm glad we got that in.
The way the guy was mutilating it.
Well, he was mutilating people. Strange shit, right? You had him doing almost Jack the Ripper things. But you weren't calling him Jack the Ripper or anything that, like, remotely gave a wink to the audience about Jack the Ripper. It was just straight like, there's this guy Tony, just picking a name out at random, who's gonna go, hack people up. It's like, okay.
It was also, there was,
No, I mean, for lack of a better description, it was literally Gorno in the sense of, like, Hostel Part 2.
I think, wasn't there one part where, like, he, fucked this girl and then and then slice and dice her pussy or something?
Yeah, and significantly worse, too. But the thing that I loved about it, and this was just kind of funny, then we'll jump off the story, but
let's go have a police knock.
Yeah, well, that was good, but I more like the fact that you started off with a little dagger that was like a letter opener and finished with a samurai sword. It was like, how the hell is this bastard even gone? It's just like everything just gets bigger and bigger as far as the knives go.
Yeah, and then it's like, tone it down, so I had to do that. Then there was, like, wait, hold on, you gotta, then it was, okay, now, you gotta have, it be, once that happened, the toning down happened, then it was, okay, now you gotta remember, the Green Bay Police can only go so far, so then it turns over to Wisconsin State Police. Once
and then from
the lines, it turns over to the FBI.
Well, no, it wasn't even that. It was like, after a certain point, you would think that the FBI would be involved. And you never got to finish with that. But it was like, you started introducing somebody by the name of Fitzgerald. Officer Fitzgerald into the FBI. And I was like, dear Lord, dude, like, let's not party names. No relation to F. Scott.
Just F. Scott.
Yeah, and no relation to Brenda either, but that's where you built the name from, because you had other people like McMahon. You're like the two drunk Irish cops. So they work for the FBI. Hey, drunkie. No, yeah.
Jim McMahon reading. Wait a minute.
Oh, if only you had done that. But I mean, it was still a corner, like, because there were some very sexual explicit and violent explicit scenes in there still. And it was like, dude, like, lose this part of the scene. Like, if you imply the violence, it's just as bad as showing it. And you're like, yeah, and then you wouldn't do it. It was like,
but the part you can air is about how it got spread around.
Yeah, that's the part to end the story on. Is like, got spread around, Sarah Mary victim side, and got spooked by it. And that helped in the sense of, like, you got called in and you were like, look, I meant no harm with it. It's not directed at anybody. It's literally just a story. It's from my imagination. I swear to God. But it was funny of how creeped out they got. It's like, okay, I understand why you're creeped out, but like, given that like this is just a porno film, you should see some of the other stuff that's going on in class. Killing somebody's father, something this is story. It's other strange stuff. But anyway, so that's that story. So, anyway, back to dismissals. Kevin McCarthy mysteriously disappeared. Who else do we know? We're all over the place in this one.
Dismissals are, because there's two camps of people. There's people that...
Well, dismissals are quitting. Doesn't really matter to me.
Dismissals are quitting, because there's the camp of people that quit, and then there's the dismissals.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, I know that Sean was dying, so he left, and then he passed away, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I remember, was it Jason was the head of the transpersonal psych department? Am I right about that? Am I wrong?
Not Jason. David Joy.
David Joy, that's who it was. David Joy, he left of his own accord.
Yeah.
And Jason left after his wife died, and he wasn't doing very well. And then he passed away, unfortunately. There was a student that died in housing.
Yeah.
That's another story.
Jack Austin left because he was downsized because they took his job and merged it with another job.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, I guess maybe the way to end this and do it in a couple of minutes So we got 2 minutes, and then we'll tell the story about the girl dying in housing. In the meantime, we'll just...
And of course, there was some other people, they were short-term there, too. There's Mom, they were very short-term.
Yeah.
Or Maria.
Yeah, Iosa, John Iosa.
Yeah.
Andy Rosenthal.
Yeah.
There are a few other people that I'm forgetting the names of, but I remember them being... Yeah, Joe. Okay, so I guess let's tell that story now, and this will be the way to end the podcast. The woman, Ellen Paul, was a student at Burlington College, and her sister, Brianna Paul, was not exactly mean to me all the time, but didn't exactly go along with me most of the time because she said some very inflammatory and nasty things.
Yeah.
And, I understand a certain point of like, okay, it's, this is a sense of humor, but by the same token, when it's not feeling somebody else's suffering at that expense, it stops being funny and starts being nasty.
Yeah.
And that's really a lot of where it was heading a lot of the time. And I remember she and I had a falling out, a very public falling out in housing, and it went from that to I went to Sundance. This is after she sprained my knee. Brianna Paul threw me out of a chair.
Yeah.
Well, I had my leg up, and I went one way, my knee went the other, so it sprained my knee. So I had to walk around with the cane, and I still do every now and again because of pain in the joints and stuff. But and I'm writing that into a script too. But anyway, I went and I had a trip to Sundance with Alan Nichols and Barry Snyder and a bunch of students. Well, that was fun, we had fun. There's whole stories about that are mostly positive, except we have a couple of ignorant statements from Barry Snyder, but no lie, we got an email one of the last days that we were there, and Alan Nichols got the email, and he goes to me, Nathan, who's the name of that girl? I remember this vividly, sitting on a stool, and we're at a counter, and I play on the floor. He goes, Nathan, who's that girl that sprained your knee there? What was her name? I said, his hand was shaking. He had some gesturing. And I said, Brianna Paul, why? He goes, she just died. And I couldn't comprehend this for some reason. She just died. My dog was walking through the room, getting ready to go outside. So anyway, Brianna Paul just died. How in the hell? And he's like, I don't know, she just died. That's just weird, isn't it? Yes, Alan, it is. Very weird. So, I don't say that to be facetious. It really was like, and I came back, mind you, we had to do 2 flights, run through the frickin' Michigan airport with the acid trip tunnel, whole bit, we get back, and this, the housing was just in a state of disarray, like people were like spacey, like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
I just was talking to her before she died, and babbling incoherently,
Right.
The only thing I was missing was drool coming out of the mouth.
Right.
So just really sad, nasty stuff.
Yeah.
And it went on with that, and basically, I'm the story a little bit so it doesn't go on in real time, but days went by, and it wasn't until after Brianna Paul was buried and Aaron dropped out of college at Burlington College that Mike Smith, I forget his middle name, but Mike hyphenated name Smith, no, Smith, I think it was, Mike Smith was at the college, and he was a funny guy, nice guy, great wit, good writer. And I have nothing against Brianna Paul, or nothing against Aaron. I never wish anybody ill or anything. I just want to get that on the record so nobody goes, well, he didn't like her. No.
Right.
Let bygones be bygones. I never wish anybody ill. I certainly never wish anybody dead. That was just a very unfortunate and spooky happenstance, so nobody give me credit for anything.
Yeah. Well, anyhow, yeah.
So, this, thank you for saying that, I hope I get back. But, so this guy, he was in housing, and we were talking after a couple of drinks. Nothing extensive, like we had enough, we knew when to stop, and all, but we were responsible drinkers. And we stopped, and we were outside, he was, hanging out, and people were smoking cigarettes and what have you. And he said, I said, what happened to Brian? He said, I don't know. I wasn't at the funeral or anything. He goes, the doctor said it was a heart arrhythmia. And she was 18, mind you. She was, in the military jail. She went back, hit her head, fell down, and that was it. And, she was dead when she hit the floor, and that spooked me to no end, and I'm still spooked by it, talking about it, but, it's a story worth mentioning, because I said to him, please tell Aaron I'm sorry for her loss, but I never wished her ill, I never wished Brian ill, and I don't exactly appreciate the amount of anger that I'm getting from him, because I don't think I did anything justifiable getting that. Now, mind you, I had said some harsh things, but this is after getting very harsh things said to me about my disability and stuff, so, my belief is fight fire with fire. So you're doing all these years I've done on to you, and since I happen to be already. So anyway, I make a hand come and shoot. As I'm saying, it's not literally. So to close my hand gun, I don't have any. So long story short, she died. Horrible story. But that happened in housing, and I remember it scared the shit out of everybody in housing, and there was a lot of good that came out of it. People stopped doing the hard drugs, most people, and just started using pot just barely, and the drinking went down significantly. So a lot of good came out of it, but at what cost, So let's try to end it on an up note from here.
But anyhow, as you're talking about that,
yes.
Of course, at that point, I had, interacted with her a couple of times. I mean, didn't really know her. I mean, I knew her, but I didn't really know.
Right,
Brianna, and interacted with her a couple of times. Now, of course, my first introduction to her was by name.
Of course.
And Aaron had mentioned, and I and Mike were talking. She had mentioned, Brianna, and then she paused and said, "Not the one who met my sister. You'll meet her sometime."
Yeah.
Because when I first started there was another girl named Brianna that I knew for my first semester. When she was there, she was there for my first semester, and then after that semester, she didn't come back. Nobody knew anything about it. Nobody, knew what happened. It just, didn't come back.
Yeah. Yeah, and there were a lot of those students that just with their first semester disappeared. Like there was one guy that, I'm going to end it with this because it's a fun story. There was one guy named Zach that worked with Michael Schur in Palm House. And he slept all day, he was missing classes, failing every class because of it. So he was going to leave anyway. But at one particular point, Michael Schur and I were yucking it up, and it was like, the afternoon, and it continued into the evening. Well, this guy kept coming out and yelling at us to keep it down. Well, you get two comedians together, we're going to get louder, some good songs when, feeding off each other, laughing and stuff, kind of like you and I. So it got kind of funny, and this guy comes out and yells at us to shut up, and for the umpteenth time. And Michael Schur, who I have never seen lose his cool up to this point, he's a Valium. He came up to his full height, which is about 6 feet, and he said, "Look, you sleep all the time." This is a paraphrase, but look, you sleep all the time, and you aren't doing well in your classes. You annoy the fuck out of me when you go after me for stuff. This is ridiculous. With all due respect, shut the fuck up, bitch. But he said it much louder than I just did at the top of his lungs. And the guy got mad and grabbed the safety information and ran out of the house. And I said to Michael Schur at that point, okay, let's, go for a walk. And he started feeling bad as we're talking and stuff, so he's like, should I get a wholesale now? I said, well, chances are this guy already got a wholesale now, given that he took the safety information, but it probably wouldn't hurt for you to, go and tell your side of the story, and if you want to make amends, go through her, because I doubt he's going to come out and search you out. So, I don't know what happened from there, but that was kind of an interesting story, and it was funny because, again, Michael Schur is a Valium. I never expected that from him, so I was like, where was this when I needed it? Because I would go over there and bitch about stuff, and after I had some words violations, a little bit, and he'd just be like, well, you gotta be more pragmatic, and you gotta, be a little bit more genteel and try to learn who to deal with and who not to deal with. It's like, fucking tell me, dude. So anyway, that was kind of funny. So this is an R-rated podcast for all intents and purposes because we dropped the F-bombs so many times. But, that all said, up next on the podcast list of moving violations, you're going to hear a clip show one from earlier podcasts that you, Casey, myself, and Mike M. did, talking about how we met, how we did, getting through certain things like the ill-fated TV show about the college presidents and stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's coming up next, so please stay tuned, enjoy that, and with that, we'll see you next time. I'm Nate Taves.
Casey Khoury.
Take it easy.
Monday through Friday at 5. She flies around the globe and she'll win them every nation. She's a double-dealing diva with a taste for thievery. Her itinerary's loaded with moving violations. Tell me where in the world is
John Saunders.
Tell me where in the world is Where in the world is Tell me where in the world is Where Jackson be Where in the world
John Saunders.
Watch your back!
Are you a corrupt politician? Or am I I being redundant?